There's a moment that feels slightly off. Nothing dramatic happens. No words are spoken, but something inside tightens anyway. You notice it in the body first. A quiet pull backward. A sense of stepping half an inch away from the room even while standing still. The air feels heavier than it should, not unsafe. Just thick. You stay present. You always do. But part of you goes a little numb. Later you'll wonder why you're tired. Why a simple interaction left a dull pressure behind the eyes. Why silence suddenly feels easier than sound. But right now, in that moment, you don't question it. You adapt. You adjust. You soften your edges. That's what you've learned to do. Most people don't notice this shift. They don't see the small internal step you take back. They just see someone calm, attentive, easy to be around, but there's something quieter happening underneath, a kind of internal math, a weighing, a silent decision being made without words. You don't announce it. You don't even consciously choose it. It just happens. Your presence changes shape. You listen more than you speak. You scan tone instead of content. You feel the room before you feel yourself. It's subtle enough that it feels normal. So normal that you might assume everyone lives this way. They don't. But that's not the part most people notice. What they notice is that you rarely ask for much. You don't push. You don't demand space. You don't insist on being met where you are. You seem flexible, low maintenance, emotionally steady. And sometimes you believe that story too, because it's easier than feeling the cost of it. There's a strange fatigue that builds over time. Not from doing too much, from holding too much without expression. It feels like carrying a glass of water that never spills. Your hand starts to shake, but you keep smiling. You don't want to make a mess, so you don't. You tell yourself it's fine, that it's easier this way, that you don't need much anyway. But that's not quite true. There are moments when you almost say something. A feeling rises, a thought presses forward, then something checks it, a pause, a hesitation. You ask yourself quietly if it's worth it, if it will make things heavier, if it will change the mood. Most of the time you decide it's better not to, so you swallow it, not forcefully, gently, like you've done many times before. And that's where the distance begins, not between you and others, between you and yourself. But that's not the part most people notice either. They notice how you seem to understand them, how you don't judge quickly, how you make space for emotions without making it about you. They feel seen around you, safe, unrushed. They don't see the effort behind it, the constant awareness, the internal monitoring. You are always adjusting the volume of yourself. Too loud might overwhelm someone, too quiet might disappear you. So you hover in between, careful, measured. There's a belief sitting quietly beneath all of this, so quiet it almost feels like common sense. It sounds reasonable, even kind. It says that harmony matters more than honesty. That being easy is better than being real. That your feelings can wait, not forever, just for now. But now keeps extending. You don't think of it as a rule. Rules are obvious, spoken, enforced. This one isn't. It's more like gravity, always there, rarely questioned. You live by it without realizing you agreed to it. You sense it when you walk into a room already feeling full and still make space for others. You sense it when you feel hurt, but respond with understanding instead. You sense it when you notice your own needs, then gently move them aside. There's a quiet pride in it too. You don't like to admit that, but it's there. A feeling of being strong enough to carry more, of being the one who can handle it, of not needing as much, but strength, when it's always silent, starts to blur into self-erasure. And that's where something begins to ache, not sharply, dull, persistent. A sense of being slightly misaligned with your own life, of watching yourself from a step away. You still feel deeply, too deeply sometimes, but you express less, you hold more, you reveal less. And over time, you forget when that shift started. That's where it starts to change. Because eventually the pattern becomes visible, not all at once, in fragments, in the way you feel relieved when plans cancel, in the way solitude feels like oxygen, in the way being alone feels safer than being misunderstood. You don't crave isolation. You crave rest from adjusting. You crave a space where your internal volume doesn't need regulating. And somewhere past the halfway point of your life, or maybe just a chapter of it, the realization forms. Softly. The unspoken rule you've been living by was never about kindness. It was about containment. A quiet agreement you made early on, often before you had language for it. The agreement was simple. I will manage myself so others don't have to. I will carry the emotional weight quietly. I will not inconvenience. I will not disrupt. I will feel deeply, but I will show it selectively, not because anyone demanded it, but because you sensed it was safer. This isn't something you were told. It's something you learned by watching reactions, by noticing what was welcomed and what was not. When you were open, things shifted. When you were quiet, things stayed smooth. So you adapted. That adaptation became your baseline, and you became very good at it. Too good. The insight isn't that this was wrong, it's that it was necessary once. But what protected you then may be limiting you now, because the rule doesn't turn off automatically. It follows you into rooms where it's no longer needed, into relationships that could hold more of you. You don't break it dramatically. You don't rebel against it. You just start noticing it. The moment you almost speak and stop yourself. The moment you minimize your reaction, the moment you feel something strong and immediately translate it into something easier for others to digest. Awareness arrives quietly, not as blame, not as regret, just recognition. Oh, this is what I've been doing. And there's a strange mix of relief and grief in that moment. Relief, because the exhaustion finally makes sense. Grief, because you realize how long you've been holding your breath. You don't suddenly start saying everything you feel. That's not the shift. The shift is internal. You stop assuming your feelings are a problem to manage. You stop equating emotional presence with emotional burden. You don't announce this change. No one else needs to know. But you feel it. In the way your chest loosens slightly when you don't soften a truth. In the way you allow silence without filling it. In the way you let yourself take up the same emotional space you offer so freely. The rule doesn't disappear, it loosens. And that's enough. The world doesn't collapse when you don't over-accommodate. People adjust, or they don't. And you notice how that feels. There's a quiet recalibration happening. You still care deeply, but you no longer translate yourself completely into what others can handle. You let some things remain unfiltered, not aggressively, just honestly. The fatigue changes texture. It's no longer heavy, more like a passing wave. You begin to recognize the difference between empathy and self-abandonment, not as a concept, as a sensation. One drains you, the other doesn't. And slowly, without making a declaration, you begin living by a softer rule. I'm allowed to be felt too. Not constantly, not dramatically, just truly. The pacing of your life slows. Not externally, internally. You don't rush to smooth every edge. You don't rush to understand at your own expense. You listen. And you stay with yourself while you do. At the end of the day, when the noise fades, there's a quieter kind of tiredness. The kind that comes from being present rather than vigilant. It feels different, less heavy, more honest. And in that quiet, there's no need to name what you are or what you've been. There's just the sense of finally standing where you've always been, fully there, without stepping back.